Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, my dear learners. This is MD Saiful Islam, an assistant teacher of Ordinary High School of Bangladesh, and you are most welcome in my for English Academy again. Dear learners, of that you are very fine by the grace of Almighty Allah, and you watched my previous classes smartly and with the reference of my previous classes. Today's class have been present in front of you with an environment and plus named changing sentence about simple to complex to compound rumor 8 to the door 4 is equal to so the door that is equal to very the door and so my dear learners of that you have understood clearly my dear learners but before starting today's class, I want to review my previous classes of changing sentence about changing sentence from simple to complex to compound sentence, my dear learners. Already we have finished of various kinds of rule of changing sentence. Rule number one, rule number two, rule number three, rule number four, rule number five, rule number six, rule number seven, and today's class have been present in front of you with the new arrangement. Rule numbers right. So, my dear learners, take a look at the board and try to understand. You have to mind that, my dear learners, there is a great connection to the door for equal to so the door that is equal to my dear learners, very the door and so. But you will have to mind that, my dear learners, to the door for is used in a simple sentence, so the door that is used in a complex sentence, and by the door and so is used in a compound sentence. So, my dear learners, take a look at the board and try to understand. My dear learners, with the reference of this relationship, I have written an example in the board. So, my dear learners, take a look at the board and try to understand. The problem was too difficult for us to solve easily. Maintenance. Suppose your child, of course, I want to suggest to you that, my dear learners, this is a simple sentence and mixed with to the door for. To the door for. Suppose, my dear learners, your child to change this statement into a complex sentence. Into a complex sentence. So, my dear learners, what steps should I try? At first step, my dear learners, I want to suggest you that, my dear learners, first steps, you'll have to use so the door that instead of to the door for. So, my dear learners, start solving the problem was so difficult that okay, my dear learners, already we have gotten a principal clause. Of course, you know that, my dear learners, there is a principal clause and a subordinate clause in our complex sentence that already have been written. Then you have to form the subordinate clause. Then you have to use subject. So, my dear learners, you have to write the subject from the objective form after the words for. So here objective us and subjective form of us, of course, we. Then you'll have to use or write couldn't or can't according to the verb of principal clause. If principal clause, if was required is used in a principal clause, you'll have to use couldn't. But if immediately used in a single principal clause, you'll have to use can't. How that you have understood clearly. Then the right verb solve. In this case, my dear learners, you will have to pronominal form of the subject. Here, subject the problem and pronominal form of the subject problem, of course, each. So that, my dear learners, subject you have understood clearly. So, my dear learners, already this sentence must be changed into a complex sentence because this sentence has a principal clause and your subordinate clause. Hope that you have understood clearly. My dear learners, suppose If you are told to change the sense of statement into a compound sentence, so major what steps should I take to change the sense of statement into a complex sentence? And I want to suggest you that the first step is to use very the door and so instead of to the door for. So start solving yourself majorness. The problem was very difficult, and so then we use subject objective form of subject here object us and subjective form of us of course we then write couldn't, then write verb it easily. Okay, my dearness, already this sentence must be changed into a compound sentence because this sentence has two principal clauses. First principal clause, the problem was very difficult, coordinate conjunction, and so second principal clause, we couldn't solve it easily. Hope that you have understood clearly. My dearness, I'm trying to write another example. So, my dearness, take a look at the board and try to understand. Another example, Magdalenas, the sum is too hard for me to solve easily. Okay, Magdalenas, take a look at the board and try to understand. So, what categories of sentences this? This sentence is next to it to the form. And according to the definition of our selection way of a simple sentence, of course, this sentence is a simple sentence. Suppose you are told to change the sense of statement into a complex sentence. So, maybe that's what steps should I check? I want to suggest you that maybe learners first step you have to use so that instead of two for. So, maybe learners start solving yourselves the sum is so hard that then you'll have to write the objective form of subject here object me after words for me subjective form of me of course I then you will have to write can't according to the verb of principal clause can't then write verb solve that pronominal form of subject the sum it then extension. How about that you have understood clearly. Now, my dear learners, suppose you are told to change the statement into a compound sentence. So, my dear learners, what steps should you do? You'll have to use first step. You'll have to use a variance instead of two the four. So, my dear learners, start solving yourselves. The sum is very hard and so I can't solve it easily. Maintenance, take a look at the board and take for instance, this sentence must be changed into a compound sentence. Compound sentence. Hope that you have understood clearly. Maintenance, I'm trying to write another example to change in different sentence. So take a look at the board and try to understand. The problem was so difficult that we couldn't solve it easily. Okay, my dear, let's take a look at the board and try to understand what categories of sentence. I want to say that, my dear learners, it's of course a complex sentence because this sentence is mixed with this. So, that or that. So, my dear learners, of that you have understood clearly. Now, suppose you are told to change such kinds of statement into a compound sentence. So, maintenance what steps should you try to change the sense of statement into compound sentence? And according to my mind, it's very easy role to change the sense of statement into a compound sentence because you have to use whether runs instead of so that then that's enough must be changed into a compound sentence. So start solving yourself. The problem was very difficult, and so we couldn't solve it easily. Okay, my dearness, hope that you have understood clearly. Maintenance suppose you told to change a sentence of statement into a simple sentence. So, maintenance, what steps should you take to change a sentence of statement into a simple sentence? I want to suggest you that, my dear learners, you'll have to use to the for instead of so that. So, my dear learners, take a look at the board and try to understand the problem was too difficult for. Okay, majorness. Now we'll have to change the subject into a object. Then you'll have to use cho. Then you'll have to use verb. Then you'll have to delete pronominal form each. Then you'll have to write each. For that you have understood clearly. Okay, maybe that's and now I'm trying to write another example. So, my dear let's take a look at the module and try to understand. The sum is very complex, and so I can't solve it easily. Okay, my dear nerds, suppose you are told to change this sentence into a complex sentence. So, my dear nerds, what steps should you take? It's a very easy role. My dear nerds, I want to suggest you that you have to use so that instead of predator, and so then there's enough. Okay, my dear nerds, start writing the sum is so complex that I can't solve it easily. Okay, maintenance of the jaw you have understood clearly. Suppose you are trying to change the sense of statement into a simple sentence. So, my dear no steps should you try. First of is cho. Use to the door for instead of the door, and so. Hope that you have understood it clearly. The sum is too complex for. Okay, my dearness. Then you'll have to use objective form of subject I, me. Then you'll have to use to. Then beyond form of verb of the statement. Then it must be deleted. Then extension of this statement of that you have understood clearly. Already, this sentence must be turned into a complex sentence and a simple sentence, my dear learners. I don't want to learn in this class, but I want to share some experience with you, my dear learners. Of course, you know that I'm a new teacher, and I'm trying to use English conversation at the time of making various kinds of video classes. So, my dear learners, if notes and faults or mistakes in video classes, please excuse me and free to all my class so that I can help you. I can serve you with my video classes throughout my life. So, my dear learners, today come to you again with a new version and a new class. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.